to Tacos and Trends, everyone. This is a podcast by Made Trends, where we explore the intersection of culture, consumer behavior, and trends shaping tomorrow. I'm your host, Autumn Zimmerman. And as we continue our deep dive into mega trends for 2025 and beyond, today's episode focuses on health and wellness, a cornerstone of modern life. From mindfulness to longevity, nutrition, and CPG opportunities, wellness is reshaping consumer expectations and experiences. Joining me today is my longtime friend and collaborator, Liz Hernandez, the owner and founder of Lazy Hype. Thanks for coming, Liz. If you like what you hear here, please follow along at Tacos and Trends or follow us at Made Trends. Liz, you want to give me a little bit of background about Lazy Hype and your businesses?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be part of this new journey. I feel like every couple of years you have like a cool new journey, and it's always really fun to be a part of. So Lazy Hype started in San Francisco. At first, it was really meant to be more of a sustainable brand in the activewear space. I didn't really see a lot of brands building sustainable initiatives into their activewear collections. And as I was trying to grow the brand, I saw this big opportunity with a lot of the boutique studios. This was like prime COVID time, so everybody was sitting with a lot of excess inventory. I kind of bet on myself and the brand and told a lot of the boutiques around the areas that if they could let me brand what they currently had in stock, and if we sold it through, that they would have to place Lazy Hype. And so I basically did free work for a little bit. And then, of course, the product sold through. We were able to build basically like, you could say like private label collections without the intent of them becoming private label collections. And so then organically, I shifted gears from like this like whole sustainable brand to this private label brand that also has sustainable initiatives behind it. And so now we work with different fitness studios and we build private label collections for them. And we helped with the strategy behind moving their products, whether it means, you know, building up their margin or building up just the entire collection in general. And so it's been really fun.
Amazing. I feel like it's interesting. We talked about this before, like when authentically your interests become your job. And I think that's been like a lot of our like shared experience, right? And I thought whenever we're thinking about the episode today, I thought it'd be funny as well if we kind of like always, I think it's interesting to look at the history of an area that's trending. And if we think a little bit about like where our own fitness journeys started and where the interest started, I feel like it kind of maps out the consumer journey, and we could talk about that. Because I think for me, I was kind of like a gym rat, not exercising, kind of eating healthy. And then I feel like when I started spending more time in LA, you got me hyped about like these boutique fitness studios, which started with some like 5 a.m. wake up calls. And maybe you could tell us what were the first types of studios we were hitting?
Yeah. I definitely remember when the shift happened where just a ton of different boutique studios started popping up. I remember you've always been like an avid Equinox treadmill. Like I remember your routine, right? Very, very strict. And I'd be like, no, let's try some yoga. Let's try this. Let's try that. So I want to say it was Core Power Yoga where I first dragged you to. Yeah. And then I became really passionate about it. So I was like, let me do my teacher training to make sure they're teaching me the right stuff.
Yeah.
And you were like,
tell me what Core Power is. For those people who don't know.
Core Power is this big chain, started in Colorado, of hot yoga studios. They offer teacher training. They have the best merch. Some of it is by me, not all of it. But a good select SKUs are by Lazy Hype. And they're top tier hot yoga studio. One of like the big like original when it came to like big chain boutique studios that we were able to tap into. And yeah, it was, for me, it was so much fun, getting you up in the morning, being like, just put on your outfit and we'll go straight to class. Just sleep in your outfit. Don't even change in the morning. Put up your hair. And you were like, gross. And I was like, no, I do it all the time.
Yeah. It was like 5 a.m. It was like the 5 a.m. wake up call, sweat session. then follow. I think I was like
The
mainly
avocado
there.
toast right
Yeah,
after.
I was there for the avocado toast, obviously. So I think it's interesting. We see a lot of people who converted into these like boutique fitness felt like very aspirational. And then ClassPass came out and we saw it, that suddenly it was like more democratized. But at the same time this was happening, it feels like wellness was like kicking off everywhere, right? It was like at the same time, athleisure went from like some like workout clothes, which we both been like working in that space and making workout clothes, to really just like, this is like my look, my vibe, like all day long. Right. And we saw that Lululemon finally had some new positioning and new competition as well, which was like a very exciting time. So I think it suddenly was about like, where do you work out? What do you wear? And then really like, what do you eat? And it feels like that's kind of like where the lifestyle like evolved from. I think in that time when we started talking about it at Matrons, we were really talking about like wealthy, like wellness as like spelled differently.
Yeah.
And just kind of what that meant and like how much people were willing to invest. But we see that the consumers really shifted a lot of their spending at like all price points, right? We see Walmart's leaned into it, Target's leaned into it, as much as you see these like huge aspirational, like more like boutique luxury brands.
But what's interesting too is that everybody now is kind of coming together. For example, before you would think Walmart only had opening price point kind of junk food kind of brands, but now all the big players and all the big wellness brands want to work with Walmart and are opening up, you know, whether it's in the Walmart marketplace or in their actual select stores, you're getting access to these like higher tier supplement brands, even some apparel brands within Walmart, within Target. And so it's becoming more, I think, open, like this level, like it's just more inclusive of like everyone, right?
Yeah.
I even see it with, for example, Lulu. Lulu's now a partner of Lazy Hype. They saw that I have good pull. And so just right now, I was like literally like getting some Lulu items to a client and co-branding them with Lazy Hype. So no, it's been really fun because before it was like impossible to work with Lulu, impossible to work with, let's say, Mullen and Goats. They were like, hey, Liz, like, you know, it's a soap brand, but they're like, we see that your activewear is within these studios. Could we collaborate somehow? So then I helped come up with the bathroom strategy.
I love it. Can't stop, won't stop over here.
Yeah, no, it happened organically. There's no more box placement, basically. Everybody's like allowed. And I love that within the wellness space.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I think as well, whenever we look at like new opportunities, if we loop back to like the avocado toast and like green juice, I think that we've like definitely, you know, in some of our other episodes, we talk about this like status symbols and like icons and what it's about. I think that it's really where the green juice used to be like your status symbol. It's like really now, like, have you had your Air One smoothie? Like I talk about the Air One smoothie all the time, as do a lot of people, but it's just like shocking, the price point, the branding, the celebrity collabs. And so I think whenever you see people coming in and like a tourist stop is to get like an Air One smoothie for like the health benefits.
Yeah.
It's like absolutely, you see like we've just begun to like scratch the surface. I think there's also, we see there's like, right, there's the boutique studios, there's all of the like apparel that's selling, there's like the bath goods, but also the food space seems huge, right?
Yeah.
And like, we've just barely, I think that we're seeing like new standards in like what's organic, what people are eating. Also, we see like more sober lifestyles, but we see introduction of adaptogens, supplements. Like it's just, the list is crazy.
Yeah. I think somebody that's doing it really well right now is Mudwater. So you go into Mudwater and you get the full experience. You can do a workout class, a meditation class. You can read one of their books. They now make newspapers and magazines. You can go to the bar and have your mushroom coffee. And it's just this whole wellness bubble. You can also cold plunge and sauna there. And also, I know,
and take a meeting.
Not a Mudwater advertisement, but I do think they're doing it very well. I met Sean, the owner, at his art exhibit because he's also an artist. And I was so impressed. And I literally went up to him and I was like, one day you and I will be working together. And he started laughing because I just love what he's done and his persona as well.
So what do you see, speaking of that, like what do you see as some of like the hot new like studios or studio spaces? I think from like other conversations we've had, right, it's really this idea of like when they offer more than just the workout, like it's a lifestyle offering.
So a big one that I'm really excited they're growing is Artha. Artha is known for acupuncture, fitness. cold plunge, sauna, sound baths, all these different kinds of fitness classes within this like big wellness hub. So imagine going to a place where you can get your chiropractic adjustments, but maybe you're too scared of chiropractic. So you want this like holistic acupuncture, but you also want your meditation and you want your cold plunge and your sauna and the hyper chamber where you get like oxygen for, your neural pathways to flow better. And you could also get the red light therapy. I just think it's like a whole new world and a whole new hub that's being brought to the table. They currently have a location in Studio City opening up in West LA sometime this month, actually. So I'm excited about that. Another one that's about to open is in Santa Monica. They're AI driven. So you can get your workouts specifically for you. You go into a machine. It basically detects your weight, your
biometrics,
your entire biometrics, custom for you.
Amazing. So I think that's interesting, right? As everything like evolves, I think even when we're talking about trends in general for like 2025, it's like more is more, right? Mm-hmm. So there's like never, everything's a little bit extra. So you can't just have like the boutique fitness, right? You need a boutique location that has like a whole lifestyle offering. I think it's interesting as well, right? We also see like what the business models look like behind this, right? You have to, pardon me, choose like where you're spending your money, right? So a lot of them include like memberships or one-offs. I think ClassPass has been a great place for like people to get an introduction to like new locations, try, and also to keep the studios full. So I think there's like new partnerships to think about from like a business model standpoint as well.
Yeah. On like more smaller scale, more niche-y that really builds community. Definitely have to make a shout out to Satari that just opened in Santa Monica as well. They're doing a really phenomenal job building community, not just by offering traditional yoga classes, meditation, but like hosting events that like bring in different vendors throughout the community that are all like within the wellness industry and holistic. Different kinds of supplements are being sold, and just different kinds of practices. They did like a facialist that was doing a lymphatic, at a yoga studio.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really cool. And the founders are amazing. I love all of them. So please visit Satari.
Cool. So I think what we like whenever we look at like what drivers are as well. So I think from what I see is like a huge driver, which is like really basic behind so many of these like health and wellness trends, is really this idea of like a new aspirational like lifestyle, what's like luxury and like what you can luxuriate in. But I think really like at the root of it is like people don't want to get old.
That's true.
Right? I think it's that. So I think there's also been this huge conversation that started kind of on a separate pathway about longevity. And I feel like there's been a convergence, and that convergence is like the opportunity. So I think we were reading some articles a few weeks ago about, if you're like 40 plus, it's basically the race to like never age more than that. And you see that the consumer spending tons of money on Botox, on like lasers, facelifts. And then also in addition to all of those like superficial things, they're also like looking to like what's their like inner wellness, like how's their like their gut biome.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's no end. And I think as well, whenever we talk about like the extreme level of like Brian Johnson, right? But this idea of like longevity, like, oh, you could live longer, but actually live like a really great, healthy life. Like who wants to be like 90, but unable to like move, right?
Exactly.
So, and I think people realize as well, it's like a long game. And it's also become, I feel like as well, like a big piece of like people's like recreational life, like, right? Like you meet your friends, you have a workout, you gossip, you have a juice.
Yeah. No, I've even found it, like just you and I or whatnot. If we're doing something, you organically are like, could you look for a workout class?
Yeah.
Where can we go work out? It's almost like like when you socialize, it's more fun if you're getting a workout with your friend.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Which I think is like also like a big Gen Z trend that we've seen, right? Like we see Gen Z moving away from like partying, drinking, and like that lifestyle. And they're like looking for other things to do, right? And it also is this idea as well that there had been this like idea that like fitness, like you were saying, like me had to be like very high impact. I think we're like post like hit workouts, right? Not that some people aren't still working out that way, but I feel like there was the CrossFit moment where it was like, how hard is hard? Mm-hmm. But I think people realize they can't keep that up, or most people can't keep that up. I do think though there's like some interesting pieces of these, like the diets and the extremes, like these, I think we've all seen them on social media, like people on the butter diet, the all meat diet,
yeah,
right? I think it's like like the pendulum always shifts, like, right? So there's like veganism, like
We're
was
keto now.
Yeah.
We're gluten-free now. We're watching our glucose levels, wearing monitors.
Yeah. I think for me, like something that feels like interesting and like mainstream, and I think I have like professional and personal interests. I'm very interested in this. We like spoke about the other day, like the blue zones, and this idea of like there's like really like when they look at where like there's like people are living the longest and living their best lives, it's really like based on like community, like multi-generations, like passive like activity, whether it be like walking to the store or walking back or walking to your friends, and just like what like the diet, like I think it's, to me it was like shocking whenever they found like a core part of the diet was like beans. I feel like no one's eating beans here.
Yeah.
Like here we are in LA, and I feel like no one's on like the bean diet.
Yeah, no, because fiber is so important.
Yeah.
No, that's very true. Actually, I was carrying bean packs because I was carrying those portable bean packs. Yes, I was just like snacking on them.
I don't even know
my digestion.
I don't even know what a portable bean pack is.
They sell them. They're delicious. They're like mixed in with olive oil, which is also really good.
Is it like raw beans or like cooked beans or like dried beans?
They're cooked beans with like drenched in olive oil, basically. So instead of taking your olive oil shot, you can just take like literally like soaked. It's delicious.
Interesting.
I'm not selling it very well, but it's delicious.
I mean, it sounds delicious. Sounds absolutely.
But going into that, what I find really cool is hormone balancing with your diet.
Okay.
And so
I'm a big trend as well.
Yeah. So I'm actually working on getting better knowledge to hopefully build a product that basically is a supplement to...
It helps with like cycle syncing and things like that.
To cycle sync, to get us in sync with our cycles and really optimize our bodies based on the nutrients that we're having and also based on the movements that we're doing to live longer.
Yeah, I think there's like a big piece of that, right? It also feels like there's a time of like liberation as well, where like there's a clear pathway of like, oh, women's health has like separate needs than like just men's health. And I think offering products like made by women that speak to it. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I love products made by women. So made by women for women to like meet their like health goals and health standards, I think is interesting. And I think what we see as well is like with Gen Z and even Gen Alpha, like they're more interested in that type of like natural life cycle and like lifestyle and want to get started with it sooner than later. So I think it's interesting, right? If we like recap a little bit, there's like these opportunities, like the business opportunity, I feel like it's like multi-channel. There's like spaces, products, but it also feels like as well, I know another big trend we saw is also like workplaces offering not just health insurance, which is a great thing, but also that they're like a lot of like workplaces now, either like workspaces or offices are offering like health incentives, right?
Yeah.
Like a healthy cook and like places to work out.
Yeah, it's always like a $75 or $100 for your gym membership or your boutique studio, which doesn't even cover half the cost, but it's still a very good initiative, I think, to implement as something to like help benefit like the employees.
Yeah, I think as well, like to attract more employees. I think as well, like the one thing that we can all agree on, right, is that in like 2025, no one wants to get old. Right.
That's true.
I think that's the root of it. And I also think as well in this, like when we're like living on social media, people are really competitive, right? Like if you're going to be healthy, I'm going to be healthier. Right. And we see a lot of like the TikTok and Instagram challenges. We see the diets, we see the outfits. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to think like in 2024, we saw like an explosion across TikTok of Lululemon again, like everyone in their like Lululemon pink, in their like Barbie brights. It's like a brand that can go that far. I think that really had like more of like a hippy dippy origins, right? As they've really evolved. So I think it's about like evolution, listening to the customer and really trying to support like the bigger goals.
Totally. I think also a good example is like Alex Cooper. She started with being just like really relatable. Then it became a lot about mental wellness, her podcast, right? And now she's creating, then she did her whole merch collection, which everyone's wearing. And now she's at Target with hydration products like made for women, by a woman. Yeah. And I think that's really cool how like it evolved from, just something that was like relatable to then something that was built for the mind, basically, to then something that was built for your body, the product, to now something that's like nourishing you with her drinks.
Yeah. Yeah. Also a very hot topic. I feel like in health and wellness, hydration, like you can't just drink water anymore.
No.
Right. There has to be something. It has to be a special type of water.
Cool packaging, like something.
God forbid the other day we had no water at my house and my child had to have tap water. It was like an outrage. But so, yeah, so water just isn't, I feel like water, like what you're putting in your water, what type of water you're drinking, what type of water bottle you're drinking it from, how you're accessorizing the water bottle. So
true.
I feel like in a moment where it feels like the consumer is telling us like, oh, we don't want like overconsumption, it seems like in this space, they're willing to like really invest and like consume a lot.
It's true. You could have like your Stanley Cup, but then like it's no longer trending. So you buy anotherStanley Cup.
Yeah.
Then there's the electric version that is supposed to be cleaning all the water for you. So there goes all the other Stanley Cups. It's very interesting. But it's good that, it's at least somewhat better for the environment. I think everyone's putting a lot of initiatives behind, whether it's like recycled packaging or something that isn't plastic.
Yeah. No, definitely. I think like from that point of view, that's great. Well, so thank you so much for being here, Liz. I think we should give a shout out to this like beautiful location we are in. Thank you, Soho Works, for having us. We're at Soho Works at 9000 Sunset, overlooking Sunset Boulevard and looking at the Hollywood Hills. And thank you for Apogee for providing this equipment for us. It's been great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.